Oh, hello, and welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be recapping the Remarried Empress. If you don't know what that is, you'll know by the end of this video. Probably midway through, you'll probably get the hint on what it is. But let us first address the elephant in the room, and that is the fact that I printed out these character images entirely too small because this board was supposed to be behind me, and do you see how two make one? Yeah, real weird, but we're gonna go along with the setup. Okay, we're gonna continue with the setup. All right, so in this video, I will be recapping episodes 1 to 20. It took me a while to gather all of these notes. This might be a long video. So buckle up, get some snacks, probably get some drinks, maybe water, maybe something else. I don't judge, but if you're gonna do that, make sure that you're following the age rules of where you are. Okay? America 21 plus, other places 18 and 19. Yeah, make sure you're following those rules. Okay. Whoop. The board almost fell. All right. Anyways, let's get into it. Starting with chapter, episode. Well, on Webtoon, they call it episodes. So we're going to call it episodes here too. Let's start off with episodes 1 recap. All right. So we're going to start off with episode 1. Before we do that, these are technically main characters and these are side characters. So I have arranged them as such, you know? Yeah. So let's start off with our main character, Navier. Miss Navier Trophy here. So Navier comes from the Trophy family in the Eastern Empire. They have a long history of providing empresses for the royal family. Yeah, you know how they have nobles and then they pick like a noblewoman to be the empress for the, whenever the royal family has a son and they need somebody to marry their son, they go to the trophies. You feel me? Okay, good. So Navier was chosen by the previous emperor to be the wife of his son and the next empress of the Eastern Empire, right? So since she was chosen as a child, she grew up with the current emperor, which has not been introduced but will be introduced in this episode, right? Moving along, shows a flashback of that. Then the story starts with a flash forward where we're introduced to these two, okay? This is Savishu, the current emperor. So when I said that Navier and the current emperor have been together this whole time, yeah, they've been together. They're married. Remember that. They're married. This is Rashta. Rashta is Savishu's side chick. Yeah, she's a mistress. So these two married, this one mistress. Moving along. Story starts off with a flash forward of Navier accepting Savishu's divorce appeal request, whatever. So she's like, yep, I accept the divorce, but I want to make a request of my own. And the priest is just like, okay, what is that request? And she's like, I would like to be remarried. Everybody's shook. Everybody's shocked. We don't know what's going on. Who comes in when she says she want to get remarried? Henry. Yes. The golden retriever looking man right here. Mr. Henry. He comes in. Oh, did I miss my cue? Did I miss my spot? Yeah. So she wants to get remarried to him. We don't know why. We'll find out probably 100 episodes in because Webtoon. But that is a flash forward. Then we go back. Okay, we go back a few months. Navier and her ladies in waiting are discussing this one's random appearance, right? Super random. Nobody knows where she's been. Navier is confused because she has been away. She don't know what's happening. She just got back and her ladies are waiting are showering her and they're getting on with the get on, right? Her lady in waiting tells her, hey, your husband, you know, the one who went on that hunting trip that kings and emperors usually go on? He brought back this one from the hunting trip and you should be concerned about that. Okay? Navier isn't concerned, doesn't really take any mind to it, which she should have. She's just like, oh, he probably just brought her back because she was injured or something, because it did say that she injured her leg. But she's just like, oh, he just brought this girl back. It's no big deal. Turns out, spoiler, it's a big deal. But that's the end of episode 1. So we get to episode 2, right? Navier and her husband Savishu are sitting down eating dinner. We learned that this is like a 2-3 time a week occurrence. They don't eat every day. He makes it seem like it's rarely, but like 2 or 3 times a week is pretty often to me, but whatever. she's asking him about Rashta because she's just like, okay, my ladies in waiting seem to be concerned. I think I should probably be a little bit concerned. Smart. What's going on? What's going on between you two? His tone is like, don't ask me no questions. I don't want to answer no questions. Don't ask me about her. And she's like, okay. What, why? Okay. You know what? He's like, don't question me. I don't want to talk about it. Just leave it be. She's like, all right, cool. She goes back. Her ladies in waiting are waiting for the tea. And she's like, yeah, he don't want to say nothing. He seemed real annoyed. And then her ladies in waiting are just like, So one of her ladies in waiting, Laura, which I really should have put a picture of her up here. I'll probably do that next time. I may reprint these, but anyways, Laura, rightfully annoyed, irritated. She's just like, listen, this is how my dad acted during his early stages of having an affair. So you should be concerned. You should be real concerned about this. But the other lady in waiting, Eliza, is like, okay, Laura, you're getting heated. Time to exit the room. Escorts her out of the room, right? Eliza then goes to Navier and tries to comfort her, but Navier assures her that this is fine because apparently her mom had told her at the beginning of all of this, like when she was young, a teenager, before they got married, listen, emperors tend to take mistresses. This has been happening since this whole institution was created. Don't be too concerned if your husband starts cheating on you, because who doesn't want that advice from their mom? But you know, to each his own. It was a different time, child. It was a different time. So she's like, you know what? My mom told me it's okay. No problem. But we see that she's having some concerns internally because she's saying her chest hurting. She don't know why she feels so hollow. Like, how would he feel if I had brought home someone? Would he feel this hollowness inside? Probably, girl. Probably. His hollowness would probably be replaced by anger because the man has issues. But we're not there yet. We're not there yet. We continue. She tries to explain away the situation to herself to make herself feel better. But while she's outside, she hears some other ladies talking about how smitten he is with Rashta. And she's like, okay, weird. All right, let me just go inside. Maybe a nap will help all of this, which naps usually do. But who does she run into on her way back to her chambers to go take a nap? Rashta. And that's the end of episode 2. Episode 3 is where some tea goes down, y'all. Okay, so now we stopped with Navier running into Rashta, right? Rashta gets real familiar with her, starts calling her sister and all of these things. Yeah, but she's trying to have conversations and all of that. Navier's like, yeah, no, we don't really need to be talking, because she had already been steeling herself, saying this is probably not going to bother me that much because I'm never going to run into her. But then look at what happened right after. So this one's trying to be nice. Navier is just like, I'll be a little bit polite, but I'm trying to excuse myself, remove myself from the situation. As she turns around to walk away, Rashta grabs her arm and, because of, the movements, ends up ripping her dress. Laura comes and is just like, yeah, no. Navier's just like, you know what, whatever, I'm just gonna go. She tries to go again. Rashta tries to reach for her again, causing Laura to slap her hand and call her an insolent wench. Yes, but you know who heard her call her? Do you know who heard her call her that? Yeah. So he overhears, says something, notices that Rashta is crying, runs right past his wife, straight over to the crying Rashta to console her and ask her what's going on. Then Navier is just like, you know what? I'm hurt by that, but I'm not going to shed any gangster tears for you right now. I'm just going to go back. So she announces, hey, I'm going to take my leave. You seem like you got your hands full. So I'm just going to go. What does Shu turn around and say? Nah, leave Rashta. You could go, but you could leave Laura. Sorry. You could go, but leave Laura. Leave Laura behind. And that's the end of episode 3. So episode 4 starts right in the thick of it with Navier refusing to leave Laura and telling Shu, yeah, no, I will not be leaving my lady in waiting. Like, it don't make no sense. According to the customs at that time, she was well within her rights. Because for all they know, that's someone of like extremely low rank. You shouldn't be doing this in the first place, blah, blah, blah. But he's like, yeah, no, she needs to be punished. So Shu orders his guards to lock up Laura for 3 days. Right? You know who's smirking in the corner? This one. Yeah, she real happy about that. I'm gonna say this, and it may be a little bit of a controversial opinion, but I personally don't think that she was being super manipulative at this point, because if I were coming from a situation where nobody stood up for me, like I was basically in a forced uncompensated work situation like her, I would be super happy if someone was showing interest in me to the point where they were protecting me against, a wrong that I've been dealing with my entire life. So at this point, episode 4, I'm not mad at her about the little smirk. I think it is a little but I'm not upset too much. Navier is like, yeah, no, I don't want that to happen. But Laura gets locked away, child. She gets locked away. 3 days pass. Navier goes to personally escort Laura back to her bedchamber, Navier's bedchamber, has a bath ready for her, makes the cook make her favorite desserts, all of that. You know who gets wind of that though? Savishu. Who's upset about this? Savishu. Yeah, he's big mad. He's big mad to the point where he goes and calls for Navier to come to him immediately. So she does. And they get in an argument. In my opinion, 2 things came out of this argument, right? Navier discovers that she needs to keep her guard up around this one, because this one has a penchant for going and snitching to this one so that this one can get in trouble. So she's like, yeah, I see how this is going, and I see how she's going to use your feelings to hurt other people, your feelings towards her, to her advantage, to get other people reprimanded for stuff, and I don't want any parts, which, fair. The other thing that came out of this is that this one really showed his ass. Okay? Showed his ass about everything that was going on. But yeah, no, she kind of figured, listen, my husband resents me. And he now has a shiny new object of his affection that is willing to kiss his ass in a way that I am not willing to do. So now I need to be on my P's and Q's. I'm going to try to excuse myself from this situation and, be what it be. After Navier leaves that little weird, awkward argument meeting, Rashta comes in when Savishu rings for a servant, and they have this little cutesy to them, not really to me conversation. And you could see that he feels some type of way about his wife, but he shouldn't be telling the side chick how he feels about his wife. Where she shouldn't be inputting her opinion on these two's marriage, because they're basically talking about how, Navier probably takes things for granted because she's always grown up with things she's never had to grow up without, which is true that she has had to grow up with things because she's a noble. But like, why are you comparing your wife to other people? And everything that Rashta is saying about Navier could also be said about you, Savishu. You guys grew up in the same, you probably higher than hers rank. You grew up with the same privileges for things, so I don't understand. But he sees it very cute and quaint to be like, yep, Rasha, you're so clever. Like, you know all of these things. But, child, whatever. So, after that, he compares Rashta to Navier verbally so that she could hear, basically, favoring her to his wife. I was upset about that already. But then what got me was when he was like touching on her chin and was just like, oh my God, my prey is so clever. And she's like, oh, why do you keep calling me your prey? And I was like, that is a cute nickname, not a babe, not a boo, not a nothing. Prey? Child. Let me stop. Anyways, so the episode basically ends with her asking when she's going to be when is she going to be stated as mistress? Like, when is that going to be her title? Because apparently when they were coming back from this hunting trip, he told her that, yeah, I'm going to make you my mistress, and, my wife is going to know about it because the Empress is going to know about it. So he said, don't worry about it. I have a plan. And I'm left wondering, why does she want Navier to know that she's going to be the mistress? Like, you know what? Whatever. We're going to move on to episode 5. Okay, so episode 5, we see Navier talking to her ladies in waiting, specifically Laura, and Laura's letting her know, hey, Rasha's gonna be instated as mistress. Like, they finna be signing the papers soon. And she's just like, oh, that's quick. That's weird, but whatever. We skip forward to Rashta sitting down in a room, looks like a library, with this guy instructing her on what the process is gonna look like to become mistress. And she's like, oh, am I gonna have to sign something? He's like, yeah. She's like, what if I don't have a signature? He's like, why would, it's okay, you can make up one right now. And she's like, quiet. And he's like, oh, you don't know how to write. So we find out that she's illiterate, which will come back later to back up some rumors, I'll say. Yeah, we'll stay with that. But after that, the guy instructing her is letting her know of what the custom is. So essentially, the custom is that the empress will usually send the mistress a gift to welcome her to the palace as, you know, an official palace mistress. Couldn't be me. Could not be me, but we move. We move anyways. We skip forward to Navier discussing how she is not planning to send Rashta a gift. And then we learn even more about the customs of their realm, which is, hey, I don't need to send you a gift unless you are my friend, someone of the same standing, or someone from my family. Since you are none of these three, I don't need to send you a gift. So we're like, all right, cool. All right. We're going to continue. Her other ladies in waiting are happy about this, but segue into asking if it's true that Henry will be attending the New Year's celebration that they're holding in the Eastern Kingdom. She's just like, yeah, he's gonna be coming, but you know. And then they're all happy because Henry is some sort of playboy. He has rumors being like, oh, he's a playboy, oh, he's this, oh, he's that, but the biggest rumor is he's hot, which he is. So we skip forward to Rashta going to visit Navier. She goes to visit her, walks into the room, and is just like, oh my god, hey big sis. So Navier's like, girl, what you mean by hey big sis? And Rashta's like, we must be sisters because we have the same husband. Girl, when I tell you, I was like, weird way to put that, but you are completely incorrect. And Navier told her, hey, ma'am, no, we are not. She did it the nice way because I would have just looked at her and been like, bitch, be fucking for real. There's no way. But anyways, Navier just like, yeah, no, absolutely not. Rasha does not take this hint and is just like, can I call you big sis from now on? And that is how episode 5 ends. Episode 6 starts off with Navier completely shooting her down and is just like, ma'am, that is never gonna happen. I love your enthusiasm, never gonna happen. Could you please leave? So Rashta notices that, and then she looks around and notices that she's getting like side eyes from everybody in the room and is like, you know what, let me just go back, lick my wounds, whatever. She goes back to the room with a guy and tells the man what happened. Like, you know, oh, I thought me and the Empress would be sisters. And he's like, why would you think that? And then she's like, well, I mean, I went to go see her. And he's like, you did what? So she tells him what happened and he is mortified. He's just like, girl, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, I don't know. I really don't know. Mans was baffled. And it was at that point where I realized that Savishu 100% set her up for failure. Because why did you not explain these customs to her before? Like, you seem to be with her a reasonable amount of time throughout the day. Explain to her what she should and should not do in the capacity of a mistress so that she don't be out here making a plumb fucking fool of herself in front of everybody. Navier, nobles, and staff included. Because if one thing we know about this webtoon, the people in that castle love to gossip. They gossip about everything all the time. So, he really set her up for that one. But anyways, we skip to Navier going out for a walk and she runs into this beautiful looking bird that seems to take a liking to her. The bird has a note on its leg and she decides to read the note, you know, show her ladies in waiting, and then write a note back, attach it to the bird, and the bird flies away. Birds flying scene. Bird gets to a clearing, bird transforms into a human. Human is Henry. End of chapter. End of episode. So we get to episode 7. Navier and her ladies in waiting are chatting about the bird, you know, going back to her room. Enters her room, and who is there waiting for her other than her husband? Yeah. He's apparently super upset about what happened to Rashta and how Navier allegedly embarrassed her in front of everybody. Like, she can't do that on her own. But you know what? Whatever. He then continues to say, hey, the search for Rashta's lady in waiting, because you know she's gonna need one since she's now the mistress, Nobody wants to do it. So I'm going to put you as the head of the search because I'm pretty sure that nobody wants to do it because of you. And she's like, no. That is breaking the custom. Why would I do that? And he's like, listen, I'm telling you as your sovereign that you need to do it. And she's like, you know what? Fuck this, fine. And sets up a tea party. We skip to the tea party, and she's telling people why she invited them to the tea party, and the look on everybody's face when she tells them, I'm looking for a lady in waiting for my husband's mistress, you know, something that absolutely I should not be tasked with doing, but you see what I'm working with that husband of mine. They're just like, listen, to be frank with you, girly pop, I would rather die than be the mistress of a forced worker, ex-forced worker, because I don't think I can say the actual word on here. They're just like, yeah, no, absolutely not. I would die of embarrassment. I would rather be doing anything else, really. And we see that she's like walking past in the background, so we don't know if she heard, but that bitch seemed to hear everything and go running back to him all the time. So we're just gonna assume that she heard what they said. Okay. Then we go back to Navier going to her room, exhausted for trying to find staff for her husband's mistress. And they notice that her and her ladies in waiting notice that the bird is back. So she sent, you know, they do the whole letter exchange thing, and she sends the bird off. As the bird flies into the sky from the balcony, who runs into the room again but Subishu? Navier, petty as she is, which I love, comments, oh, you've been coming through quite recently. We haven't seen you up in these parts for a hot minute. But he's like, how's the search going? And she's like, nobody wants to do it. And he accuses her of spouting nonsense to people and making them not want to do it. And she says, how could I be spouting nonsense about somebody I don't know? I don't know that bitch. I can't talk to nobody and tell them not to be her lady in waiting because I don't know that girl. And he's like, you don't need to know her to say something, okay? You don't need to know her to be saying anything. You could know nothing and say something. And I'm like, that don't make no fucking sense to me, because like, why would she lie? She has nothing to benefit from lying. But anywho, whatever. He then accuses her of spreading rumors around the nobles about Rashta being a runaway forced worker. And that is how the episode ended. Okay, episode 8, and this is going to be a long one because my notes for this are long. So let's get into it. He basically tells her that no one would benefit more from the rumors about Rashta being the runaway forced worker than her because they are love rivals. And my girl claps back and is just like, how am I love rivals with someone when I don't love you? Like, what do you mean? How can she be my love rival when you are not my love? And I was like, period, sis, period. Let him know. Tell him again. Tell him from me. But she's clearly hurt about this and he doesn't care. Like, at all. Mans is unbothered by her feelings. And I'm like, oh, God. So she runs off to her secret place that she has to cry, which, damn. Imagine. It didn't even hit me before now. She has a secret place that she's already established to go cry before this girl even came here. So clearly things were on the rocks before, but child, anyways. Who finds her in her secret place but the bird? The bird finds her with a new note so that she exchanges notes, and the bird tries to comfort her, and she accepts it and decides to name the bird Queen and tell the owner of the bird that she named the bird Queen. And I was like, oh, child. In the notes, by the way, in the notes. So we see the bird flying off, and it flies off and transforms back into Henry. And we see another blue bird talking to Henry, and then that bird transforms into this blue-haired man right here that I don't remember when they actually named him, but his name is McKenna. So we see the blue-haired bird transforms into McKenna. So McKenna is asking Henry, what the hell is going on and why did you take so long? You're supposed to be surveying this kingdom that we're coming into, but you seem to be lollygagging all over the place. And Henry's just like, don't worry about it, okay? Don't worry about it. And in Henry's introduction card, we find out that he's first in line for the throne of the Western Kingdom. So that's some information that is not going to be relevant until later on. So I'm going to tell y'all now because that's what they told us. But yeah. After that, when we finish with that scene, switch panels, Navier runs into Rashta and she's crying again. She's crying. Oh, sorry, she's not crying. Navier runs into Rashta and Rashta is sitting down in Navier's crying spot. So Navier's just like, hey, babes, this is my chair and you're sitting on my handkerchief. So could you please go away? Thank you. Refrain from coming to the West Palace. We don't need to be running into each other. Like, this is too much. So Rasha tells her that she wants to be friends, but Navir is just like, listen, we don't need to be friends. You could be friends with the next mistress that Sobishu gets after he gets tired of your ass. Child. So then Sobishu goes to visit, and so Sobishu goes back to Navir to visit again, to yell at her again. Yeah. About what she told Rashta. Apparently Rashta went crying to him about what she said, and now he's upset and screaming at his wife in front of her ladies in waiting in the palace that she's the emperor of. Embarrassing. So Navir decides to hit him where it hurts and is just like, did your father go and come to talk to your mother about his mistresses so often? Like, what's going on here? What is happening here? Oh, child, he spins it back on her and is just like, oh, what happened to you? You changed, trying to make her seem cruel, and tries to spin it into you don't care about, like, do you not care about Rashta? And she's like, no, why should I care about a bitch that's fucking my husband? And he's just like, you should care about all of your people. You are the empress. Trying to make it seem like, oh, she should be caring about the people of the kingdom, like that has anything to do with the fact that you are cheating, sir. But anyways, whatever. He basically leaves. And she falls to her knees because she is arguing with her husband over some random that we just met, like, what, a week ago? Yeah. Anywho, this is where I get irritated. The next scene is where I get irritated because it is a scene where one of the staff is essentially telling Rashta what happened with Sobishu and Navir and how he was screaming at her. And she is ecstatic about it. She's excited. She is so happy. And I'm like, bro. This is where I start having a problem with her character because I don't know if it's just me, but hearing that a man, well, let me start from, I would not be dating anybody's husband. But if I were in the situation that Rashta was in and hearing that that man was going to scream at his wife so loud that people in the fucking corridor, the hallway, heard them and can be hearing them to come and talk to me about it, so sorry. That is absolutely ridiculous. And then he sends me a gift afterwards? Oh, honey, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But then again, I guess this is the first time she's ever had somebody stand up for her before. So I get that is a great feeling to have, but at the expense of someone who hasn't done anything to you, other than not want to be your friend because you are fucking their husband? Oh, absolutely not. But that's the end of chapter 8. Okay, so episode 9. And I realize that I am jumping in and out of calling these chapters and episodes, but bear with me. Episode 9. The bird returns and Navir finds out that it is a male bird. Since her and Sobishu did not have many distinguished guests for this New Year ceremony that we are now currently at, we're at the New Year ceremony arc, they could get away with avoiding each other for a couple days, but yeah, they had to go greet some of the guests upon their arrivals, and now they're pretending to be an actual couple at this point. So this is where they go and meet Henry. So Navir notices how beautiful Henry is, and Henry just flat out starts flirting with her in front of Sobishu. But we don't really see a reaction from him, so I'm not entirely sure. But after that, the bird comes back in the room, and she's upset that the bird's master allowed it to fly in the rain because it was raining, right? So she's like, no, I don't know why you have such a cruel master that would send you to send notes to me in the rain, but you are sleeping with me tonight. So she goes and cuddles with the bird. The bird sneaks out in the middle of the night and then comes back in the morning with a note saying, hey, let's play a game. Not saw, but let's play a game. Let's see who can figure out who the other person is first, and the person who wins gets the bird as a prize. And that is the end of episode 9. Okay, episode 10, and we're almost halfway through. So Henry visits Navir and requests a tour from her, but he doesn't want any of the staff to tour him. He wants her personally to go and take him on a tour of the grounds. So they go on the tour, even though she doesn't really want to, but she decides, you know what, it don't make no sense that I piss off the first in line to the throne of the direct neighboring kingdom-ish. I'm unsure of the geographics of this because we don't get a map, but Henry is in line to the throne of the Western Kingdom and this is the Eastern Empire, so I don't know how that geographics work, right? But she's like, yeah, I'm not gonna piss you off, so let's go. Let's go. While they're on this tour, they run into Rashta, and she starts fawning over Henry Child. She's just like, oh my god, he's so pretty. She offers to show him around, and he declines because he's like, yeah, it's fine. Navier's already showing me around. You don't need to. Like, girl, are you blind? Can you not see what's happening here? And she's like, oh, that's fine. Since Navier's already showing you around, why don't I just join you guys? And he's like, no, Three's Company. You can stay exactly where you're at. So Navier notices this. He notices that he has like a serious blank expression with Rashta. He doesn't seem to really like her that much. But she just, minds her business and, leaves with him. So while they're walking and touring the grounds, he asks if the person that they just ran into was the rumored famous mistress, Navier's husband. And I was like, bold choice to ask that, but okay, cool. Then he wonders out loud why Silvishu would choose to stray. And then asks, oh, can you invite me to the ball? She's like, no, the invitations were already sent out. He's like, no, I would prefer it if you were the one to invite me. I'll just like scratch his name off the invitation and put yours because I don't, I'd rather be your guest than his. And I was like, understandable. So I skip to the first day of the celebrations, and Navier is getting ready when the bird comes back. She makes an entrance. She does the whole letter exchange thing, and then makes an entrance to the ball with Savishu because, custom. But as soon as he notices that Rashta is there, we know where this is going, but we don't get there until episode 11. Okay, so he notices that Rashta is there, episode 11, and he leaves his wife on the stairs to go and meet up with his mistress in the crowd. Oh my god. Anyways, Navier runs into Duchess Tuana. Yes, she makes I think this is like her first brief appearance in this, so she is on the board right now, but she's only on the board for right now. She runs into Duchess Tuana and they chat about Henry and how hot he is, because what else is anybody going to talk about? They don't really know anything about that man other than his looks. So when the Duchess leaves, Navier... my god. Anyway, so when the Duchess leaves, Navier overhears some woman gossiping about her. Then a lady boldly approaches her and asks her if she gave a gift to Rashta. Because apparently, Rashta been going around and telling people that Navier sent her all sorts of gifts to welcome her as a mistress and blah, blah, blah. And that's what the ladies were gossiping about before, saying that she probably did it to curry some favor with the emperor. And I was like, ooh, so we lying? Ugh. But anywho, child, Navier clears it up and goes to sit down because it seems like Savishu is going to go dance with Rashta. And as per custom, Savishu is the only person to allow her to go dance first. This doesn't really last that long because Henry comes up and offers her a rose and is just like, oh, can you come dance with me? She accepts. They go and they chat and they dance and they talk about like rumors about each other. Then Rashta and Savishu come up and Rashta requests to dance with Henry, so Savishu has to go and dance with his wife. Has to, because it's not like he wanted to, it's because Rashta wanted to go dance with Henry, so, why not go dance with my wife? She reminisces on them learning to dance together, but is interrupted by Savishu telling her that he can't stop her from taking a lover, but Henry is a bad choice. I can't stop you because I took Rashta, but like if you don't take somebody, don't take Henry. Like you need to keep up. You need to keep up your reputation as Empress. Like you can't do anything to disgrace yourself. But anywho, I digress. That whole thing is cut short because he apparently notices that Rashta is screaming and decides to scream out her name in his wife's ear and run toward her. And that is the end of episode 11. Episode 12, another long-ish one. So Rashta starts crying and telling Savishu that Henry said he won't dance with her, so she doesn't have anybody to dance with. Everyone starts whispering about the rumor being true that Savishu has fallen in love with Rashta, and Navier is embarrassed, which I understand why. So she leaves the ballroom and is followed by Henry, who goes to check to see if she's okay. She thanks him and basically retreats into a room and like closes the door, slides down the door, does everything except for the screaming, crying, and throwing up. Okay. So the bird finds her in the room and goes to comfort her, and she comments how, oh my god, you always find me when I'm going through something. And I was like, I wonder why. But anywho. When Navia returns to her room, Eliza, one of her ladies in waiting, tells her that another one of her ladies in waiting said that she can no longer be her lady in waiting. And Navia is just like, Navia recalls, oh, I remember her, borrowing money from me, so she's hoping that she's okay. She didn't say this out loud, it was a thought, but, she's just hoping that the lady's okay. We switch to the next day, the second day of the ceremony, and Navia and her ladies in waiting notice that Rashta is wearing some silks that Navia had refused. Like, someone had sent some silks, and it was noted that the person is always trying to bribe their way into proximity with the royal family, because he's like a distant cousin or something, but he's always trying to bribe his way into proximity so he could get more power. So she refused the silks. Notice that Rashta is wearing the silk, and not only is she wearing the silk, but she's also walking with the lady in waiting who told Eliza to tell Navia that she can no longer be her lady in waiting. And Navia is just like, what the hell? But whatever. Navia goes to meet with Princess Cersei, who's there for the celebration from another country. Ooh, and they discuss Henry announcing that he has a public search out for his pen pal. Yeah, so her ladies in waiting ask her if she's gonna let him know that it's her, and she's just like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna keep it a secret. I don't need to be giving my enemies anything to talk about, which is true Empress behavior. But Rashta is also discussing this with some other ladies at some parlor that she's hosting, and she notices that when somebody else brings up this search, the lady in waiting that was previously not Navia's, that is now hers, is acting real weird. So after the other ladies leave, Rashta goes and asks her about it, and she basically spilled all the beans with no pressure. Not a single form of pressure. She's just like, yeah, I know who it is, it's Navia, and I know the contents of some of the letters. So Rashta's just like, oh, I've come up with a fun plan. Since you know some of the contents, let's do some funny shit. Which wasn't really that funny, but anywho. The next day now, Rashta gets one of her ladies in waiting to approach Henry and tell him that she's the pen pal. Henry's suspicious because he obviously knows who his fucking pen pal is. He the goddamn messenger bird. But anyways, he's just like, that's weird. That's suspicious. And he's like trying to get this lady to say, hey, ma'am, this is not you. But she is remembering the fact that Rasha is telling her that everything will be fine, even if she gets caught. She could just play it off, say that it's a joke. But if she doesn't get caught, she gets a prince out of the deal. So, ciao. That's the end of chapter 12. Okay, we just gonna lean this board back because by now y'all already know who all up on there. When there's a new person, I'll pull it back forward, but let's just continue. Episode 13. Henry finds out that she's lying and confronts her. He basically tries to find out how she know about the contents of the letter and guesses that it's someone that she either knows or works for that is his pen pal. So with that segue, Rashta is like, oh, yeah, I'm the real pen pal. I just, wanted her to go and talk to you about it. Navia overhears this and discusses the whole thing with her ladies in waiting in her room. Navia assures them that he knows that she is lying, but, she doesn't really know why he's going along with it because he did go along with it. But anywho, she gets ready for a dinner with the special attendees, so like the royalty from other places. Yeah, royalty from other places. And she goes, and this is where, God, I just pushed this board down. Anyways, this is where we're introduced to Grand Duke Kaufman. Yeah, this fine slab of brown chocolate right there. Let me stop. That man is fine. Anywho. So this is where we're introduced to Grand Duke Kaufman. She enters the room and basically is immediately greeted by Rashta, who she ignores. She goes to sit down beside Princess Cersei, and Princess Cersei is spilling all of the tea, child. She is spilling the tea about how Henry was flirting with Rashta right in front of Sovishu, and he was treating her so sweet, and blah, blah, blah. But, right as she spills that tea, we see Sovishu getting upset at Henry and calling him rude and blah, blah, blah. So Henry's just like, I don't understand how I'm the rude one when I'm just pointing out the holes in her story. Like, how's she gonna claim to be my pen pal, but she got so many gaps? Like, she can't remember more than half of the contents of the letters that I've been exchanging to my pen pal, but yet she's insisting that she is the pen pal. So Sovishu is just like, bruh, listen, it's not that deep. And he's like, no, I need to protect the honor of my pen pal. And Sovishu just gets mad and they get in an argument. And Henry goes and asks everybody in the room and is like, hey, am I the one in the wrong for going and asking what is going on here? Am I in the wrong for pointing out all of these plot holes? I'm confused. So Navia speaks up and is trying to calm them down and is like, hey, let's not worry about it. Like, I already know that Rashta is not the pen pal. And Savishu is just like, you should not be going to her. You shouldn't be coming to his defense just because you don't like Rashta. Like, just because you hate her doesn't mean you should be coming to his defense. And Henry points out that Savishu doesn't believe anything anyone says other than Rashta, which he is right to point out. And how frustrating that must be for Navier. Which then leads Savishu to draw a sword at Henry and is challenging him to a duel for tarnishing the honor of his woman. And if you did not know, if you were in the least bit confused about who the woman was that he's trying to defend the honor for, it's not his wife. It is not his wife. That's all you need to know. So Henry is just like, listen, I will accept your duel, but if I murk you, can I leave this room safely? So I was like, oh, that sounded like a promise. That's not sounding like a threat. It sounded like a promise. But that was the end of chapter 13, y'all. Okay, so episode 14, Navier calms both of them down and ends the dinner. She goes to stand at the door to thank the nobles as they leave, but Rashta notices and begins to impersonate her. So she tries to impersonate her and greet Grand Duke Kaufman and thank him for coming, and he ignores her and walks away. Man's just like bombastic side eye and then walks away. Navier confronts her about the rumors that she's been spreading about sending her the welcome gift, and she pretends that it was a misunderstanding and then slips up and reveals that she was just sending the rumor to, gloss over the fact that Navier is the pen pal to Henry. Basically slipping up and letting them know that she knew that Navier is a pen pal and she's been pretending to be it this whole time and lying. So, as soon as she sees Savishu and Henry walking out the room, she starts crying, and Savishu comes and asks her why she's crying, and Navier explains, hey, I was just asking her about why she been going around telling everybody that I gave her this welcome gift when I didn't. So he asks her to overlook it, and she's like, no, I'm not going to overlook it. And he's like, you should, because it's not her fault. It was just a misunderstanding. I'm the one that sent her gifts in your name. So Navier is like, weird. And I was also like, weird, because I distinctly remember the episode, where the lady in waiting was telling Rashta about how Savishu and Navier were arguing, and he was yelling at her for basically what she did, and then told her, yeah, His Highness sent you a gift. So where's the misunderstanding coming from? You know what, whatever. I just found that weird. So Navier calls him out. Navier calls him out and is just like, bro, what the fuck? And he's there comforting Rashta, being like, oh my god, I'm so sorry for this misunderstanding, comforting and apologizing Rashta and not his wife. Then she calls him out and is just like, hey, I should be upset at you then, because you're the one that's out here misappropriating my name. And he's like, what the hell do you mean? And then he starts arguing with her, getting disrespectful, and Henry notices and comes over and he's watching a little bit. And he there being just down bad as hell. Like, ooh, I wish she would talk to me like that. And I'm like, Henry, relax. This is not the time. But anywho, Henry interjects himself and is just like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, Navier. I will go and tell everybody about this mistake that your husband made. I will tell people the truth. And Savishu gets so upset. But as soon as he gets upset and starts to say anything towards Henry, McKenna comes running down the hallway to come grab Henry and saying, hey, we had some stuff you needed to do, some important things, let's go. Grabs him up and they walk away. While they're walking away, Henry mentions to McKenna, while they walk away and they go to the room, Henry taps McKenna on the head, turning him back into the Bluebird, and tells him to rush a letter to someone named Urgi. Navier and her ladies-in-waiting and her guard discuss Henry and the events of the past couple days, and she's visited by the bird again. She decides that she wants to keep her identity secret, and she sends that in the letter that she sends back to the owner of the bird, and is like, listen, I'm a part of too many rumors. I'm not interested in doing this right now. And that's the end of episode 14. Okay, so episode 15 essentially opens up with Savishu and Rashta discussing a special banquet. He's basically telling her that she can't come because him and Navier were given 10 guests each, and they both invited these 10 guests. She starts crying and telling him about how, she already told people that she was going, and he's like, you should have talked to me first, but whatever, let me see if I could come up with a solution. His solution to this is going to talk to Navier and asking Navier if she can tell one of her guests not to come so that Rashta can come. The fucking audacity of this man. But anyways, they call in Navier. I just found it extremely disrespectful because one, you're going to come to her with all of this audacity, but you're also gonna do it while Rashta's in the room. But anyways, Rashta is in the room for this conversation. And Sobishu basically explains to her half of what is going on, like, oh, I need you to tell one of your guests that they can't come. So she thinks it's because somebody else of like a high rank has said that they wanted to come. So she was thinking, blah, blah, blah. But then he explains exactly why he's asking her to do this. And she's just like, absolutely fucking not. You know that you can't do this. Why you expect me to do this? Child, please. And then she essentially says no and walks away. The special banquet comes and Navier goes to speak to Grand Duke Kaufman. That fine man. He asks her if the customs of the Eastern Empire are different from the customs of where he comes from, which is a country called Lupit, because where he's from, the royal couple presents a united front, essentially telling her, hey, we don't do shit like how y'all doing shit out here back where I'm from. Where I'm from, if our empress were to catch sight of one of the emperor's mistresses, she is about to have her unalived. And I don't understand why y'all over here doing this. But she's just like, yeah, we're over here. We can't be out here just murking people willy-nilly because they messing with our husbands. So Grand Duke Kaufman is just like, you know what? All right, cool. So he leaves and Henry goes to talk to her. He basically lets her know that he knows that she's a pen pal and he figured out that it wasn't Rashta because she only knew like the first half, well, some of the first half of the letters, like the contents in the letters. And he also noticed that one of her ladies in waiting left and went to Rashta. So he kind of put two and two together and figured out what happened. So she's impressed. And they go and they talk, you know, have a lovely little conversation, bond over the fact that they're in high positions and it gets lonely sometimes. And he tells her that he will respect her wishes to keep their correspondence a secret. We skip over to the normal banquet because they have two. They have a special one with all of the special guests and then another one for the rest of the nobility and whatnot. So we skip over to that one where Rashta is and it's in her point of view and she is just so happy that Navier or Duchess Tuana is nowhere near so that she can have her time to shine. And she is just living her best fucking life right now. People are asking her why she's not at the special banquet and she's pretending like she know jack shit about foreign policy and states of unions or whatever. She don't know not a goddamn thing about politics. But she's just like, oh, I'm just gonna have all of the important people in the room and give them the space to do stuff because blah, blah, blah. And they're just like, oh my God. Wow, we've never had a mistress that was so interested in foreign policy. And I'm like, and you still don't. But anywho, whatever. They kissing her ass. But then she gets a glimpse of somebody and drops her glass, very shook. And the episode ends. We get to know who that person is in episode 16, child. So episode 16 comes around and it is revealed that the person who had Rashta so shook was her former forced employer. Yes, so he is there. Child, anywho, we skip over to a guard telling Sobishu that something's going on in the regular banquet and he leaves. Navier notices that he leaves and is just like, you know what, whatever. I ain't got time to deal with this. Let me just continue doing what I'm doing. If it was urgent, they would have called me. So after she's done with everything in the special banquet, she goes to check on the guests in the normal banquet and Laura fills her in on the tea. Laura is just like, hey, so this is what happened. The guy noticed, like he recognized Rashta and because he did not know anything about Rashta's rank in he don't know that she's a mistress, basically. He just blurted out that he was her former forced employer and she is a runaway forced employee. Like, yeah. But anyways, Navier's like, you know what? I don't want to be involved in this. This doesn't have anything to do with me. I am going to stay above this situation. She leaves. And we skip to a scene where Sobishu is sitting on the side of the bed because Rashta has passed out. So she's passed out on the bed. He's sitting on the edge of the bed and he calls Navier in and was just like, why did you invite Viscount Lodishu? You knew that he was Rashta's forced employer. Did you just invite him so that he could embarrass her in public? And Navier is just like, bro, how would I know? I I wouldn't know. I sent these invites out weeks before you even brought this girl here. How would I have known that? He's like, well, even though you didn't know, you probably would have found out. And when you found out, you should have rescinded the invitation. And Navier is just like, bruh, what? So he basically accuses her of, setting all of this up to prove the rumors that Rashta is a runaway forced employee. Child. So, calls her a terrible woman, says that she should have canceled the invitation, blah, blah, blah. She leaves and runs into Henry in the hallway. He notices that she's upset and asks her if her husband offended her again, which is so embarrassing. Jesus. But anywho, he curses the fact that he didn't meet her sooner and wishes he met her before Savishu did. He asks her if she wanted him to send over Queen, the bird, to comfort her, and she's like, yeah, sure. But if you're already going to your room, I'll just come with you and see the bird, which rightfully has him freaked out because he is the bird. Okay, episode 17. Savishu has Viscount Latishu groveling on his knees in front of him and basically ordering him to take back what he said about Rashta. The Viscount, however, notices how valuable Rashta has become to Savishu, and Mans is plotting. Mans starts plotting right there on his knees on the ground. Henry comes up with an excuse to stop Navier from going to his room, and basically she asks he changes conversation, and she asks, oh, what does the bird like? He says the bird likes her while blushing, and she's like, oh no, what does the bird like to eat? And she's like, he'll eat whatever you give him. So she goes, makes arrangement to get a bowl of worms, and the bird comes over and she tries to feed the bird worms and it flies away. The next day she runs into Henry and Henry is just like, hey, the bird doesn't ever eat anything alive. Just saying. But we switch over to Rashta, who is visited by Viscount Latishu. He notices the jewelry on her wrist while they're talking, and he basically tells her that the emperor invited him back to the palace to grovel and backtrack everything he says, and now he out here in these streets looking like a fucking idiot because he now is labeled as the guy who does not know what people look like and is going around randomly mistaking his forced employees for nobles. And he's very upset about that. So, she said that it's his fault. He shouldn't have been out here blurting this out anyways. And he can't order her around anymore. This is not his estate. He don't have that power over her. And he's like, are you sure, babe? Are you sure? Because the emperor only ordered me to keep quiet about your previous forced employee status. He hasn't said anything about this baby that you done left behind at my estate. And that bomb ends episode 17. So episode 18 starts with her denying that, and it's just like, no, you had my baby unalived. I don't know what you're talking about. I saw the cadaver, no. And he's like, why would I do that? I understand that this baby is tainted with your blood, but it's still my grandchild. So I was like, ooh, Rasha been out here messing with, you know what? Whatever. So then he propositions her, and it's just like, why don't you see that I could be a valuable person to you? Like, I can stop other women from taking advantage of the precedent that you created and, pretending to come from shitty situations or being in shitty situations and essentially seducing the emperor on the side of the road because it works so well for you. Why can't it work for other beautiful women out there? But we don't get a response from her. It just switches over to a scene where Henry and Navier are talking. He mentioned that he's staying a little bit longer since the ceremony is basically done. And he wants to hang out with her for her birthday. He wants to go have a little zen, all of those stuff. And while they're talking, they are interrupted by Savishu, who demands to talk to Navier in private. He continues to dissuade Navier from hanging out with Henry, using the fact that she would bring shame to the royal family as an excuse. How fucking ironic. But anyways, he apologizes for being too mean to her regarding Viscount Latishu, and tells her that he wants to go to some imperial villa thing to celebrate her birthday. She agrees, only to show a united front for the people because what Grand Duke Kaufman had was just, weighing on her mind. But he asks if she's spoken to Grand Duke Kaufman and then asks her opinion on matters of a possible trade agreement between the two countries. She wonders why he wants her involved in the discussions, even though he mocked her the day before. But you know what? Whatever. So my personal opinion on all of that is that man does not know how to run that country without her, so obviously he will want your opinion, but he will still mock you because he's a dick. But whatever. He knows her value. But he's also led by his penis. Yeah. But it kind of ends with them talking about the trade agreement. Episode 19, y'all. So the conversation between Savishu and Navier, and she goes back and finds Henry waiting in the same spot. They talk, and she lets him know that they can't hang out on her birthday because she's going away with her husband. She gives him her handkerchief to clean his hands, and he says he'll return it. We skip to Henry and McKenna choosing a ring as a gift for Navier for her birthday. He turns into a bird and asks McKenna to wrap the handkerchief around his neck. McKenna notices the N on the handkerchief and figures out that the pen pal is probably Navier. The bird flies to Navier with the handkerchief. She hugs it and comments that it smells like Henry, which has him all shook and embarrassed, and causes him to fly right back into the room and have a fucking meltdown in human form. So, McKenna helps him get dressed and asks him, hey, is your pen pal the Empress? But he is sticking firm to his promise on not exposing her and is like trying to walk away while getting dressed while McKenna is questioning him. Henry doesn't confirm it, but McKenna is pretty sure that, yeah, the pen pal is her. They walk around into the courtyard and run into Rashta. Yeah. So Rashta goes and basically asks Henry if he has anything to say to her, and he's like, no, but you look like you got something to say to me. And she's like, oh my God, I just think that you're such a wonderful, amazing person. So, oh my God. But yeah, that's the end of episode 19. So she's doing what she's doing best, crying. And she basically explains to Henry that I understand that you're probably taken aback by my tears, but I'm just happy that you're still treating me the same, because you're the only person that has treated me the same before and after they heard the rumor that I'm a forced employee. He essentially completely ignores her and walks away, and McKenna is, trying to, don't worry, it's okay, blah, blah, blah. And then he goes back and he thinks to himself, like, I understand that he don't like this bitch, but why he gotta make it so fucking obvious? So Henry and McKenna talk, and Henry's trying to confirm that McKenna got the person named Urgie the letter and that he's on his way. After that, we skip to Navier and her ladies-in-waiting talking about Urgie's arrival. If y'all could see it, it's this one here. This is Urgie, yeah. So Urgie comes, and apparently he spent the whole day with Rashta upon arrival, and he even punched someone in the face for calling her a forced employee. It is revealed that Urgie and Henry are super good friends, which, interesting. But we skip to Rashta thanking Urgie for defending her. They talk about strategies for her to divert rumors to someone else because clearly it's bothering her. The next day, Navier is getting ready for the trades meeting. She runs into Grand Duke Kaufman and asks why he recommended her to take charge in the trade discussions. He let her know that he doesn't think anyone else in the kingdom would be better suited for this, because he notices from talking with other people that she's the only one that took any interest or initiative in trying to learn about the customs of his country so that she can better come across to him, she can make a better first impression and make him feel more comfortable. So he was impressed by that. They exchange pleasantries and he basically leaves. She turns and sees Savishu staring angrily at her. She asks him, what's going on, what's wrong? And his response is, oh, is it that you like foreigners? And I was like, child, oh my God, this man. Ugh. But anywho, that was the end of that episode. That was the end of that. This recap, long as shit. I'm probably going to try to make the other ones shorter because, my God, I've been sitting here probably filming for 2.5 hours, and I came from work and immediately started this. I'm exhausted. But I will see y'all in the next one. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all of those nice things. Bye!